Now let's see some AI tools in action. So many of you, when you filled out the form to attend today's event, ask for learning more about Microsoft Copilot. So let's do that. Please welcome Kavya Shah. She is going to show us exactly how Copilot can take the busy work off your plate. Kavya, show us what you've got.
Hey, Cassandra, we're going to get into our Copilot 101 presentation today for Empower 2026. As Cass mentioned, I know a lot of you were looking forward to just learning a little bit more about Copilot and getting practical tips about how you can use it on a day-to-day basis. And this presentation is going to do just that. In fact, I just want to say that no matter what sort of nonprofit you work for, how big or small you are, what team you work in, there's something for all of you here today. So let's just dive right into it. So a quick agenda check for today. We're going to cover the difference between Copilot and Microsoft 365 Copilot, which I'll get into. And then we're going to actually just dive into our demos and see Copilot in action in some of the apps that all of us tend to use on a day-to-day basis. And if we have some time, we're going to get into some quick homework. And as a reminder, if you have any questions throughout this session as you follow along, definitely just put them in the chat and we'll get back to you. I'd love to introduce myself again. I'm Kavya and I work in the marketing team at ProServeIT, and I'm just ready to get started. So before we dive into the actual difference between Microsoft 365 Copilot and Copilot, some terminology check. Microsoft 365 Copilot is the paid version or the licensed version of Copilot, and just Copilot is the free version of Copilot. So taking a look at the first difference, Microsoft 365 Copilot, or the paid version, is embedded across your Microsoft 365 apps like Word, Outlook, Excel, and many more. What this actually means is that if I wanted to ask Copilot something while, say, I'm creating something in a Word doc, I don't actually have to leave that Word doc to go find Copilot on my browser and ask it that question. I can open it up right in my Word doc, which is something you'll see in action when we go through our demos. On the other hand, the free version of Copilot is something that you can only access through your browser or your device. And I'm sure a lot of you over here may have already tinkered around with the free version of Copilot, or some of you may even have the paid version, so you may already be clocking these differences. The second key difference that I want to bring your attention to is the fact that Microsoft 365 Copilot has access to your business content and context. And I know some of you have been dropping questions about this in the chat. What this actually means is that if you have the paid version of Copilot, if your team has it or your organization has it, it can actually access everything in your work ecosystem. So like your meetings, chats, files, documents, presentations, and everything. Whereas the free version of Copilot obviously cannot access that and can only use public data to give you any answers. So what this exactly means is that if, say, I had a meeting on Tuesday where we discussed a deadline and then I forgot about it, I could actually ask Microsoft 365 Copilot to tell me when that deadline was, but I wouldn't be able to get the same answer from the free version of Copilot. However, I could ask the free version of Copilot why zebras have stripes. So if that makes sense, I hope you're following along. Now let's just really dive into how we can use Microsoft 365 Copilot in a practical way on a day-to-day basis. Before we actually get into the demos, we're going to look at Copilot Chat. So Copilot Chat is really just your home base. I'm sure all of you know what that UI looks like by now, but we're going to look at it anyway. Here's where you can brainstorm, refine, learn something new, generate an image, just about anything. Copilot in Word is a great place to do anything with content. And by anything, I mean, imagine if you have like a really long report, because I know as nonprofits, reports are something that all of you must be dealing with. But say you want to turn that into like a concise 5-bullet summary. Copilot in Word could help you do that. But say on the flip side, you wanted to take that 5-bullet summary and actually turn it into something much longer. Copilot in Word could help you do that as well. Next, we have Copilot in PowerPoint. It's just a really great way to take any content or any report or any document that you have and turn that into a visual ready presentation. So you don't actually have to sit and design the presentation yourself. Copilot will actually do it for you. Copilot in Teams is a great way to stay in the loop with any meetings that you've had within the organization. And I don't just mean meetings that you've missed when you're out of office, but even meetings where, say, for example, you were a part of the meeting, but on the 15th minute of that 1 hour meeting, there was something discussed and you forgot about it or you didn't take notes. Copilot in Teams is a great way to just look back and reference everything that happened, so you never miss a beat. And with that, let's look at Copilot Chat. So I already have my chat window open over here. If any of you want to follow along, it's copilot.microsoft.com. This is, for those of you who are completely new to this is what the chat window looks like. Here is where I can start a new chat. My history is here. And this is just the prompt box, which is standard with any AI tool. Now, something I want to bring your attention to is, do you see that Copilot is suggesting a couple of prompts to me over here? So because I have the licensed version of Copilot, it isn't just suggesting generic prompts to me, but it's actually grounding it in my work context. Because yes, my next meeting with Oneka is extremely important because that's someone I collaborate with often. Another thing that I want to bring your attention to when it comes to Copilot Chat is you'll notice these two tabs that say work and web. So the web tab, if I go to the web tab, if I ask anything to Copilot in the web tab, it'll give me answers based on public knowledge or just from the web. But if I go to my work tab and I ask Copilot any questions, it'll actually reference my work files and then pull out that answer and give it to me. And we'll actually see this in action right now. So for the sake of today, and for this wonderful nonprofit community that's here, say, for example, I work at a nonprofit, and at my nonprofit, we run an after-school STEM program for school-aged kids. And say this program is going really well, and say that there are some updates, some metrics that I need to give to two different stakeholders. Say I need to communicate these updates to a corporate donor, and I need to communicate it to a colleague of mine internally. Instead of writing them myself, I'm just going to get Copilot to help. And instead of copy pasting this entire uh, flood of information into Copilot, what I'm going to do here and look closely is I'm going to hit the / icon on my keybar, and I'm going to tag the file that I want Copilot to work off of. So that / button or icon that you saw, that basically functions similar to the @ button on social media, where you can tag people, but with the / button on Copilot, you can tag any files that you want Copilot to use. So using my stakeholder update, I'm going to ask Copilot to create a 120-word update for a corporate donor. Maybe I want it to be professional and grateful, like we're grateful that this corporate donor is on board. And then a colleague. And this I want to keep rather warm, more friendly, more casual. Copilot do its magic. I know that as nonprofits, regardless of the department or the team that you're in, communications is probably something that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So Copilot is just a great way to speed that process up, especially for like tinier updates or things that you're working on. So as you can see, Copilot has already generated two sorts of updates for me. One is a corporate donor update, and as you can see, the language is exactly how I wanted it to be, and very different from the language that it gave me for the colleague update. The colleague updates are like, hey, quick update on the STEM after school program, but the corporate donor update is a lot more professional, where it's like, thank you for your continued support. Of course, you can make any changes you want to this, but this is just a great way to communicate to different stakeholders and speed that whole process up. The second thing that I want to show you, and this is actually one of my personal favorite ways to use Copilot, is as a sounding board. So say, for example, this particular donor of mine that I want to give this update to is someone that's a stickler for details. Like they're always looking for gaps in things that we report to them or show to them. I'm just going to ask Copilot to help me find those gaps. So I'm going to say, for the donor update, point out 5 gaps that they may flag. Give me a quick one-line fix for each. I really like Copilot to just go over things that I've created because it doesn't just help me create content or create responses, but it actually has that eagle eye to go over things that I have already created and point out gaps that I may just forget. So as Copilot is doing its magic, I'm sure you're probably thinking of different ways in which you could use Copilot as a sounding board or almost like a brainstorming buddy. Like it's a great devil's advocate. Like, for example, just the other day, I wanted to create a presentation about Empower. And I asked Copilot to go over the structure that I created for the presentation, and I asked it to give me any missing pieces. We're just going to let Copilot do its thing for a bit. As Copilot is doing its thing, just wanted to point out that if you're using the free version of Copilot, you could achieve similar results. All you'd have to do is, of course, go back to your document, copy paste what you have, and then put it into Copilot and then put in the prompt that you want. Or you could even just attach the document using the plus symbol over here. And while Copilot is taking a little longer than usual, there's another thing that I want to point out about the interface, which is, do you see on the top right, there's a tiny little guy here, this green shield. So this is basically indicating to me and to all of you that our data is protected because it has enterprise data protection on. So that means no one but me can really access this. So here we have it, 5 gaps that a donor may flag with quick one-line fixes. So that's something about budget clarity, impact benchmarks, risk and mitigation, future needs and calls to action. Of course, you could ask it a lot more. But yeah, this is a great way to use Copilot in chat for a day-to-day basis. Now let's move on to Copilot in Word. So say, for example, this after-school STEM program that I am running is going so well that I actually need new volunteers for it. And this is the information that we typically have for volunteers, but it's far too lengthy and wordy to read. And say I want to look for volunteers and I want to put the word out on LinkedIn and I want to create a job description for it. So within Copilot in Word, I could actually just do that without going back to my browser. So I put my cursor here, and if you can see, there's this tiny pen with like sparkles. So I click on the pen, and that's basically Copilot. And I'd say, create a LinkedIn ready job description using this and tailor it to college students. Because say, for example, we want to attract college students to these volunteer positions. Anyway, they often have internships that they may need to do, and this volunteer opportunity may be great. And that was super quick. So as you can see, Copilot has created a LinkedIn ready job description for me over here. I can choose to tweak it. I can choose to keep it. I can ask Copilot to regenerate one if I'm not happy with it. So of course, I'm choosing to keep it. So you can literally just copy paste this and put it onto LinkedIn if you'd like, or you can actually add any more details by yourself or with Copilot's help as well. Another thing that I want to show you about Copilot in Word, like I mentioned before, that Copilot lives in your Microsoft 365 apps, is do you see this Copilot symbol on the top right here? So if I were to click that, Copilot would actually just open up for me in my Word document. I don't really have to go back to my browser and do anything. Like I can ask Copilot questions over here as well. And that's really just the benefit of having the license because it saves a lot more time than you'd actually think. A final thing that I want to show you about Copilot in Word is that, do you see this tiny summary over here on top? So this is something that Copilot is generating. It's a summary of the document that I have open right now. So if I want to quickly skim the document, Copilot just helps with this summary. And if I want the summary to be longer, if I want it to be shorter, I can actually just change that for myself. And there's a shorter summary. Copilot also provides a couple of insights based on the information in your document. So here you can see a couple of key numbers based on the information, like the age group that we serve, the amount of sessions that we have weekly, and it even has a suggested Q&A, which is great. Especially imagine from a website content perspective, you could literally just take this Q&A, tweak it, tailor it, and have it right there. So that's Copilot in Word. I hope you're following along, and if you have any questions, I hope you're putting them in the chat. Now we're going to move on to Copilot in PowerPoint. And we're going to keep with our after-school STEM program. So say, for example, our after-school STEM program is doing so well. It has the donor is happy with the updates. We've got new volunteers. Now we're actually looking for a new school to partner with us for this STEM program. And say that to pitch to this school, we don't want to just give them this document that we typically have for school partners. We want to wow them a little bit. So we want to create a really nice looking presentation. So I've just opened this document up to show you like what information lives in this document. But if I wanted Copilot to help me actually create a presentation out of this document, I would open PowerPoint. So I already have PowerPoint open on my browser over here. And I've just opened up like a new presentation. And over here, do you see these tiny sparkles, these tiny stars on top? So I'd click those stars and I'd say create a new presentation. And that will essentially open up this dialog box for me and this prompt box for me where it's creating a presentation with Copilot. So I'd say create a neat and easy to skim presentation. Give me speaker notes for each slide. And of course, now that I've given it my prompt, I need to tell it which file I'm talking about. So I could use the / button, or I could click on reference files. And then we go to the school pitch document that I just showed you. And then I'm just going to input this command. And what Copilot is doing right now is that it's actually reading through my document and it's creating an outline, as you can see, for my presentation along with what each slide is going to say. Now that it's created this outline, I could even add my own sections over here, or I could delete a section as well. Like you could completely control the outcome of this. So now that I have what I want in place in terms of content, maybe I want to pick from one of these themes. So let's say I want to pick a fun theme like Candy Lane. So I'd pick that theme and I just go ahead with the presentation. And just in the interest of time, I just want to show you what the final outcome would look like. So this is exactly what the presentation would look like after it would have been generated. Trust me, I used the exact same prompt, and as you can see, I used the exact same theme as well. So this is Copilot creating the presentation. I haven't touched it at all yet, and it has the agenda in place. It has everything in place. And if I click on the notes section over here, there are two things that you'll be able to see. You'll be able to see that this slide, it'll tell you where it has picked up this information from, which file of yours exactly. And it tells you the slide name. And of course, it has images that are AI generated. But you'll also notice that there are speaker notes over here. So I could literally just take this and run with it. Or of course, I could add my own flavor to it. When I'm talking about this presentation, I could make any changes that I want. But yeah, Copilot in PowerPoint, just quick way to get a presentation ready, especially when you're not finicky about the design and you don't want like extreme control over it. You could, of course, change a lot of things, but it just helps you get like a really quick head start. And now for a final demo, I want to pull up Copilot in Teams. So this is Copilot in Teams, and this is my actual Teams app. As you can see, I'm in the Meet section of Teams. If you can't find the Meet section of Teams, then you'd basically just have to click on View More Apps and look for Meet, and then it would show up. So, like I mentioned, Copilot in Teams is a great way to just stay in the loop with things that you've missed. But maybe you want to stay in the loop in your own way. So, this is an actual meeting that my team had about just redesigning some stuff in our website. So, I'm going to click on View Recap over here, open up the meeting for me. And as you can see, there's already an AI summary that's generated, and this has been generated by Copilot. So there are a number of tasks and meeting notes. But maybe I don't want to spend this much time reading all of it. Maybe I want a custom summary. So I'm going to click on Custom Summary. What Custom Summary allows you to do is that for any meeting that you've been a part of, you can use Copilot to generate a summary of the meeting in the way that you'd like for it to be told to you. And I can actually create that template by clicking on Create Template, and I tell Copilot, like, create a summary format for me where it's all about the action items and the deadlines and the task owners. So you can just type in what you want. And I just want to show you I've already created one. So this is my action item summary. So I just tell Copilot to focus on action points, key dates, deadlines, and task owners, because I just want to know how I need to plan moving forward. I don't need to get into the nitty-gritties of what was discussed. So I just click on the action item summary, and as you can see, Copilot is already generating my summary. There are also two other summaries that are already inbuilt, that are pre-made. So that's a speaker summary and there's an executive report. That's something that you could experiment with at any point in time. But here you can see the action summary, and it's so concise. Like, it's telling me exactly what needs to be done and who is doing it. It's even telling me next steps, key dates, and deadlines, and that's basically all I want to know. And that's Copilot in Teams. Just a quick pro tip, which is that, say, for example, you don't even want to read the summary that Copilot gives you. Like, you want updates, but like you want it in an audio format. So do you see this little audio recap button here? If you were to hit the audio recap button, Copilot would actually take all the updates and create it into almost like a podcast format that you could listen to. So you could actually second screen the update, because you could be listening to your update and you could be doing something else. The thing with reading updates is that you're just bound to the screen and you're reading it. But with an audio recap, you'd actually be able to listen to it. And you could actually choose the style in which you want the recap to be generated. So whether it's casual, whether it's more like a newscast style, or whether it's an executive style. And that's basically what we can achieve with Copilot on a day-to-day basis in some of the apps that all of us use so much. I hope that that has been helpful, and I hope that your brains are turning right now, thinking of different ways in which you could use this. If there are hacks that you know yourself, then definitely just drop them in the chat, or if anything resonated with you, then feel free to call that out. And now, as homework, whether you have the free version of Copilot or whether you're using the paid version of Copilot, you can try these prompts out. So Copilot in Outlook is the place where you could essentially use Copilot to create a quick reply to something like an email, or even keep up with an entire long email thread, or even give you summaries about how your email week has been going. So if you ask Copilot to tell you about all your emails for the week, it would actually list the most important emails down in terms of priority. So the prompt that I'm suggesting for you to try is that just open up any email that you have, and if you have the paid version, then within Outlook, you can ask Copilot to draft a reply for you, and you can make it as specific as possible. Like, you can dictate the tone of voice, you can dictate any key details you want it to add. If you have the free version, and if you're comfortable with it, then take the email that you have, put it into your Copilot browser, and try the same prompt. Copilot in Excel is something that I think a lot of us could benefit from, especially those of us who deal a lot in data. And it's not just if you're in a team that's data heavy. Like, for example, even if you're in the marketing team and you want to analyze trends in website visits or form submissions or anything like that, imagine you have a Copilot in Excel. You have an Excel sheet open, you could actually ask Copilot in Excel to look at that sheet and explain any sort of trends, and do a data analysis and give you like the top 3 insights that it can gather. And you can do that in a visual format, like Copilot will literally just paste the visual for you. So you could definitely do that with Copilot in Excel. If you don't have it, then you may have to attach your Excel sheet to Copilot again, if you're comfortable sharing that information with the free version of Copilot. And then you paste the same prompt, and then you could see the magic happen. So Copilot is available in a lot more apps. So you could experiment with that as well. One thing that I want to say as we round this presentation up is that Copilot is a great way to get that first, second, third, or even 10th draft out of the way. But those final finishing touches should always come from you. Copilot is here to help you out, but the unique perspective that you add is extremely integral, and I'm sure it's extremely integral in taking your missions forward as well. So Copilot is just here to give you that little boost, but the final stretch is yours to conquer. So what's next? This presentation resonated with you, or if you're rolling out Copilot in your team or your organization, we're actually here to help you with Copilot adoption and just kind of like wrapping your head around how you can champion Copilot within your organization in the best way possible with our experts. And with that, I would like to conclude my Copilot 101 presentation for the day. I hope all of us learned something here today, and it has been a pleasure talking to all of you. And I'm passing it back to you, Cassandra.